Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by World Outsourcing Solutions, where we specialize in helping business owners from around the world now with outsourcing services. And if you have any question relating to outsourcing or a virtual employee, you can find us at www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Alternatively, just send a message to support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com and one of the team will be able to reach out to you. I'm very excited about today because I've got a special lady all the way from Canada who's going to be talking to us or to you as a business owner on how to improve or to increase your skills when it comes to the area of digital marketing. Now, Arti has been in the industry for a while and is producing great results for her clients over there in Canada and using the exact strategies that she's using in her own business. We'll be sharing that with you today. So with me today is my dear friend, Arti Sharma. Arti, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an absolute pleasure to be around here.
You know, remembering our previous conversation, I loved how you have managed to move from the corporate world and do it seamlessly after you were making a six-figure income to becoming a star in your own right and building your own business. To get us started, can you talk to us about your journey into establishing yourself as an expert and the go-to person?
Sure, and thank you. I started my career as an intern in a travel company back in India, and I was doing very well. Finally, they offered me a full-time position back in the day. It was very exciting. Travel world was growing, and the opportunity to travel around the world was what excited me as a young professional at that time.
Yes.
I'm talking about 1996, 97. And then I continued to work with multinationals within India. In 2004, I moved to Canada with my family. Perhaps that was really a good decision for us at that time, and we feel that we made a fantastic decision by moving to Canada. And I started working with a large international franchise organization. Again, the opportunities were created given my past experience, and it was an entrepreneurial company. I was doing really well there and was able to contribute. People were lovely, and eventually what happened was there was an opportunity for me to grow continuously year after year.
Right.
At that stage, I felt a little stagnant because I wanted to do something more. I had come from a sales and marketing and operations background, and I wanted to combine the three into something which would not just produce results for me and give me job satisfaction, but also something that I wanted to give back to other people and get them to reach their highest goal.
Right.
And that feeling of not being contented in the job wasn't sitting really well with me. And that's when I started the business part-time, because digital was evolving in 2007, 2005, it started to kind of shape up. And given that I was moving from a traditional marketing role to a full-time marketing role, which was more digitally inclined. So my interest was there. I had the prior skill sets to connect the dots, and I took the leap because I was born of a dad who always had part-time businesses and mom who was very entrepreneurial. So I think it was in my genes. So I took the leap to start a part-time business, and only to find out that within a few months, I knew that there is something bigger out there. There is something more that I could do to create that impact and inspire people and get them results, because there was a need for the right people in the digital marketing space to deliver results. And you know what? Within about 18 months, I couldn't cope up with both a full-time, very demanding job and something that I loved doing, to a part-time business, which was asking and yelling upon me to say, take me full-time, I'm ready, right? So
Right.
At that time, I had a couple of people working for me on a project basis, which we eventually hired, and there we go. That's where Measure Marketing was born full-time.
Incredible. And now you are having such a success in what you're doing that people are constantly talking about what you do. Can you talk to us maybe one story of your success with your clients?
there are a lot of stories to share, and it would be unfair to talk about just one story. So I love all my clients, but I'll be able to share with you some of the results we've been able to get with one particular client who was in a dilemma when they reached out to us. Their website was hacked, and they had nowhere to go. They did not know what was the reason. So they approached us. We looked at the site and we said, okay, there's some malware. And once we kind of moved the site onto our servers, we fixed the site. We also kind of pointed out that they're using black hat SEO techniques to be ranked higher up on search engines, and that is something which is not at all as per the Google guidelines. So at that time we started talking, and they were kind of very, very upset, of course, on the current provider, but at the same time, I felt that they didn't have the trust in any other provider either because of what had happened to them. So we eventually took the leap. We eventually built that trust and built that relationship. And they had about 25, 30 keywords. They're a foot care clinic in Ontario, Canada. And we happened to work so closely with them that within I'd say about 8 to 12 months, we, of course, got them very much aligned with Google guidelines. At the same time, we built relevant content and applied all those SEO strategies that really helped them rank on top of search engines for 100% of those keywords. And 3 years ago, when we did that, to now, they're still our client, and we maintain their site, and we have maintained their positionings. So that's the power of what we do at Measure Marketing. We just don't apply quick fix solutions. We become part of our clients' success by becoming their strategic arm, and essentially, a marketing department for them, which doesn't sit in their office and doesn't even have to cost them the cost of a marketing department, but we bring in the experience, the strategies, and the results.
Incredible. I love that you actually have got a full proof of what you're doing. In fact, that's one of the reasons we have you on the show. And if you're just joining us, we have Arti here sharing with us some media strategies or marketing strategies that you can use in your business. And then when we were talking about how Arti has been able to help other clients and also help her business to do very well on the digital market as we speak. Now, taking you back to when you started, how did you get your very first client?
You know what? That's a really good question, and you're going to take me back into the memory lane. Um, my immediate response when I decided to start my business was to look at my sphere of influence. I had at that time almost like 15 years of corporate experience, 13 to 15 years, I would say, of corporate experience, and I used to travel quite a bit around the world while I was working in India as well. With my senior management and management positions. So I had built a network of colleagues that I relied upon. Also, when I was pursuing my education, I reached out to friends from my university time because everybody had moved on to different roles. And that was my first area. And you'll be surprised when I reached out to people, there were a lot of people who came out and said, you know what, we could connect you to this person, we could connect you to this person. I wasn't even expecting that kind of response. So when I started asking my peers that if they need a company or they know somebody who needs a company that can help support them in achieving their goals, primarily, as I mentioned, we come in as a marketing department while they wouldn't be spending the money to hire a full-time online marketing team of experts and strategists. Everybody was kind of, excited about that because that was a fairly new concept. And to be honest with you, I used LinkedIn a lot initially to connect and spread the word. And to date, I use LinkedIn to connect and nurture my relationships and contacts. So that was how I got my first client.
Incredible. It's amazing how it's so obvious what you've just mentioned, how not so many people who are coming into the business world ignore that. So the learning there for you, if you are listening to this for the first time, is when you're going out to start your own business, look in your sphere of influence, your network. Who can you go to today and say, look, I've started my company in providing this service. Would you try that? Or maybe you do a service exchange. You do something for them, they do something for you. Or ask them, who do you know that could benefit from my services? You'll be amazed at what they will be able to do, just like they did for my friend here at. Now, let's jump on to the next part of the of what we have here. Obviously, you're doing well, and if you were talking to a business owner who is considering having media presence, what would be the first skill that you recommend them to cultivate or to develop in order to succeed in the digital world?
That's a really good question. And I would say it depends on their budget, but if they have a budget for a website, then I would start there. Having your branding and your web's online branding intact and having it in a succinct manner is important because imagine going out to your network and saying, hey, listen, I've got this new business going. Would you be able to spread the word? Now, what will they spread the word about? They will either send them to your Facebook page or to your website or to your LinkedIn profile. So having a website is the first step, but if you do not have the budget initially and you're just testing the waters, I would suggest, depending upon the industry, depending upon your target audience, where do they live and where can you find them? I would say having a social media presence is important, right? So either or, ideally both. But if you are, strapped with time or strapped with money, I would say start with one of these to get at least a presence online.
Absolutely incredible. Something crazy happens when, well, I say crazy, but something interesting, really. I go out and do networking. In fact, I run a lot of networking events here in London, 9 at least every month, with a business partner of mine. We stage 9 of them. And when I go to them, people that don't know me, they say, do you have a business card? And I say, yes, and I'll give them. The first thing they do is to check out my media presence. They look out, do I have a website? Do I have a social media? Can they find me on LinkedIn? And this lines up perfectly with what you're saying right here. Because some people will not find your website, they will check you through a website. If you have a website, they say, "Oh, yes, he's in real business." So you want to have that in place. Let's go a little deeper with the issue of website. What sort of things do they need to have on their website for it to, to be of value to the people visiting?
That's a really good question. And a lot of times, people who are designing their websites or they're hiring companies to design their websites, they're not clear as to what they want. So I'll give you three things that when you're designing the website, there's a whole lot of things that we could cover, but just to be, honoring your time as well, and those who are listening, to give them very, I would say, strategically and step-by-step approach would be to create your website brief, meaning you need to understand as a business owner, your website's your salesperson.
That's right.
And you have to make sure that your website speaks to your audience first. So write down the purpose of your website. Write down who is the target audience that your website will serve, and what kind of information will they take away from here. And last but not least, you really want in that brief to identify what are the calls to action that you need to have your audience who visits you take. Because if it's just a pretty looking templated website with which is missing all these elements, what will really happen is you will attract a lot of people to come to your site, but they may not be able to take either an action, and it'll just have a trampoline effect. That's what I call it. People will bounce. They'll land on the website like a trampoline, and they'll bounce off immediately because they don't know what to do. on the website. So make it very clean. After you've done the brief, make it very, very clean, very, very crisp. Use some modern buttons, fonts, colors that resonate with your target audience. For example, I remember we work with senior care companies here in Ontario, and there was a company who had really pictures of very, very sad and sick seniors, and I went back to them and said, "Who would want to resonate with you, where people whose parents are sick and they're coming to you for help? They want to be a little bit motivated and a little bit inspired that you can take care of their family. I know that you're trying to evoke some pain, but these people who are coming to your site are already in pain. Their parents are unhealthy, their parents are sick, and they need help. And perhaps these boomers are tired taking care of their family as well." So they got the point, and instantly when we looked at their statistics, we found out that people were not staying very long on their website because of the images.
That's right.
And some part of the content also. So we tweaked that portion, created images that were of happy seniors, active seniors, and content was tweaked with more of a positive reinforcement. And guess what? Their site started to convert a little bit more. So having a website is like a salesperson. Imagine if it had life and it could breathe. What would it look like, right? So think from that perspective and make it presentable, and do not make it very cramped with a lot of, I would say, content or a lot of images, unless it's a educational website, but strategically place all these elements.
Incredible. And you can have a very good example of this by just visiting Arti's website, because she deals with that. And you can literally model what it is that she's doing. That is, if you don't have a budget, or alternatively, talk to Arti and then they will design the website for you. And you'll be very pleased with the work. Let's move on to the next aspect of, the critical skill that business owners need to develop in order to succeed in the digital world.
Mm-hmm. So, what is the next step you would say once they have a website? Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay. So once they have a website, of course, your website, if it's not being found, is like just an online brochure where people by default, if they land, they'll flip through it, provided that you've done a good job of putting the content and images and calls to action together. Because it does take about 30 to 60 seconds only for somebody to make a decision. So that's why I emphasize on creating a compelling web design that converts. Once you've had that, now you need to really focus on how do you make sure that people are sticking to that website. So ongoing content marketing and making your website being found is important, right? There are a lot of techniques that you could apply depending upon your business, the size of the business, the area that you want to focus on. There could be search engine optimization strategies, specifically if you're focusing on local business, although the world's now global, and of course with this global reach that we have to everybody and anybody, you might want to think big. But if you want to still service your local community and that's what your business model is, then I highly recommend optimizing your site for local searches, optimizing for mobile also. One thing I do want to add, that when you build a website, make sure that it is responsive, meaning it is set up in a way that it switches the design on every mobile device, and that creates user experience and also ultimately will convert better for you. Who wants to go to a website that you have to stretch and pinch, in today's world? So that's one. Second is optimizing your site for local searches. And I believe strongly that content is still king, and relevant content is all the more important. So if you are in a business where you want to educate your audience, where you educate your clients, having a blog and a content marketing strategy combined with social media could get you some really good results in a guerrilla manner. I mean, I remember the traditional marketing times. We used to, as you mentioned, we used to go back to our network. We still do networking, and like you, I also do networking. But the first thing is people check you out on your social presence, right?
That's right.
And want to establish that trust to see what you're saying. Do you really follow that? And social media has become huge from a conversation standpoint, also from a peer-to-peer sales standpoint. These days, there was a time when people would go to Google, but now people like to go back to Facebook or their social media followers or tribe and ask them a question and say, hey, does anyone know this? Does anyone, how's one's experience with X, right? So there's a whole lot of conversation, and people rely on those conversations quite a bit. So having a good social media presence is important. As I said, all ties in with content, be it your search engine optimization campaign, be it your social media marketing campaign, or even your email marketing and nurturing campaign. So the third step that I find is very important is the email marketing piece, because the world could be digital, but we are all kind of integrating our marketing messages. There's so many messages out there. So integrating your marketing message is important, and touching with these techniques or strategies, I would say, is all the more fruitful for you as a business owner if you can kind of combine these two in a good mix.
Absolutely.
So those would be my top three. Of course, there's paid advertising, but that can become expensive. If you have the budgets, then go ahead and hire somebody initially, I'd say, if you don't know how to do paid advertising, because the dollars can go really fast, and it could be an expensive proposition if you're not monitoring those ads.
Incredible. Arti, you've touched on three main aspects of that. Other than what we have talked about, is there anything within the digital marketing world that you feel business owners, especially those who are getting started, need to put their focus on if they're going to increase their presence and get more clients and reach more people that think you would want to make them aware of?
Yes, and I'd say depending again, it's dependent on the industry that they are in. But if you're one of those people who's starting out and wants to reach a lot more audience fairly quickly, then I would say invest in social media and content building and content marketing.
Right. And where can they start from if they're to do those things?
Well, do not focus on all the social media channels. First of all, I mean, choose 1 to 2 that you really know how to work, first of all.
Right.
And then do them really well. Consistency is important. I mean, I hate to say this, but I see Pinterest boards and LinkedIn profiles and LinkedIn company profiles which have not been updated in years. So that's not a good reflection on you and your business and your expertise either. Right. So think from that perspective and start with 1 or 2 good social media channels that you could possibly start with and focus on, and of course build content, right? Building content is important. So on a regular basis, if you can put a content calendar first of all together and on a regular basis produce content. I mean, look at what you've done in your business. You produce podcasts and you do it on a consistent basis, right?
Absolutely.
And my question is back to you. How have you been able to see results as a result of producing this disciplined content, and what is the impact you've had on your business?
Gosh, the impact is huge. In fact, it tripled my business, tripled my subscribers, and increased my credibility beyond what I had imagined before. And here's the magic thing about this whole thing of holding your own podcast. It's very easy. Anyone can do that, and it has a high perceived value from the people that are listening and the people that are who wants to be interviewed every single time. It's incredible. Consistency is the part of it, because people expect to receive these podcasts now on a regular basis. And if I don't do that, I'm just I'm letting them down, so to speak.
Yeah, and then you know what? As when you start the business, I find perhaps there could be some self-serving reasons in the beginning, but as you get involved in the business, you see the reach, you see the impact. At least for me, it no longer is about just the money aspect of it. Of course, that comes with it because you do a tremendous job of serving your clients, but more and more it becomes about what is the impact that you're making on other people's businesses, their lives, and those involved in their businesses. And
Correct.
that's what keeps me going. So, yeah, I mean, content could be a podcast, it could be writing regular blog posts, it could be video series, producing videos, with all the media and digitization that's happening with Periscope, Facebook Live, Blab. There's the world out there of how you could produce content.
Absolutely. Let me tell you something that is very humbling for me. I am originally from Zimbabwe, like many of my audience already knows that. About 3 years ago, I started coaching a few uh, individuals from Zimbabwe, and one of them is a young man called Kuda Kwashe. And he started producing content on Facebook for entrepreneurs just in Zimbabwe, and he grew his audience to just over 4,000 followers in on a Facebook group. And he
Mm.
found an affiliate program that he promoted to that group. Today, as we speak, he generates $300 every day without fail, and even more. And he is in a third world country, nothing bad about that. But he's in an environment where you think, okay, can you make money from that environment? The internet connection is not great, but he still does that. He has managed to build a following and is constantly talking about entrepreneurship. All these people are looking up to him, and he sends out the affiliate program to them, and they all hook up on it, and he's making money. Again, goes back to the same concept. If he had stopped, producing content 2.5 years ago when I started coaching him on how to do that, he wouldn't be having all this. And now, he's he's so happy. In fact, he's just joined me on what we're doing, making the world a better place. He's now looking after the orphans in Zimbabwe, right where he is. It's incredible, the concept you're sharing today.
Yeah, and you know what, it goes from there. There's a snowball impact, I would say. When you start seeing these results, when you start seeing the difference that you're making in the lives of those you're kind of connecting with, um, you tend to do more. And sometimes, when your intention, I would say all the times, when your intention is right, results will come.
Absolutely. 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 If you're just joining us, I'm talking to Ate here, who has been very, very helpful. And you will need to go back and listen right from the beginning on how you can improve your media presence or get better in your digital marketing, but just following some of the simple steps that Ate is talking to us about. Now, as we're coming toward the end of our time here together, if people wants to connect with you at some level, how can they get in touch with you?
You know what? I'm on social media. We also have a Facebook group. You talked about a Facebook group. We as a company thrive on education. So if you're listening to this podcast and you'd like to know and take a deeper dive on digital marketing and you want to learn a little bit more about it, send a request to join our Facebook group. Not sure if the Facebook group link will be available in the show notes,
It will
but
definitely be there.
okay, great. So it's Measure Mark Facebook groups. When you search for Everything Digital Marketing Hub, you will find a Facebook group, and perhaps just sending a request would be great. I'm on Twitter. My Twitter handle is Arti Sharma. I'm on LinkedIn. My LinkedIn handle is, again, arti.sharma. And again, our company Facebook group is Measure Marketing. So follow us there and connect with us. I do have a lot of resources on my website. So if you want to download an ebook on search engine optimization, feel free to go visit our website at www.measuremarketing.net and take a look at that ebook, download it, and perhaps that'll help you if you have a website to be found online.
Incredible. Uh, all I can say, if you're considering having a mentor or a coach to help you with your digital marketing, Ate is one of those people to go to because of the experience and the number of people that she's helping. In fact, you can tell from the communication we're having here that Ate knows exactly what she's talking about, and you will be in a better off consulting with the people that are doing it. Now, Ate, you have something very special. In our conversation earlier on, you told me about a formula I'd never had before, but it made so much sense when I heard you talk about it. That is OPC plus OPC equals to abundance. Can you elaborate on that for a moment?
Sure. It's all about, as I said, the world is converging, and anybody can serve anybody digitally, any part of the world. And I find that it is the power of your connections. I mean, imagine if I didn't have the LinkedIn and I had not built those connections from my corporate life, I would have never gotten my first client, right? So it's all about connections and content today when it comes to digital marketing. So it is other people's content. The more you share other people's content, you tap into other people's connections equally well. And when you combine the two, it leads to more wealth. So OPC stands for other people's content plus other people's connections leads to more abundance, more wealth.
Incredible. I'll certainly be using this concept as well in my teaching, with your permission, of course. But it's so true. We have done this with our podcasting, and I just did not know how to put this in a mathematical format. Now I just figure out how it goes, or scientific format. uh, as we're coming toward the end of our time together, uh, is there, uh, if you were talking to somebody who is looking to get into the world of business, knowing what you know now, what would you say to them?
You know what? I wish I could turn the clock and do certain things that I did not do initially in my business.
Right.
And the most important would be I would seek a mentor, and or if my business allows and my working capital allows, then hire a business strategist or a business coach early on in my business, because when we started out, we were doing it just by ourselves, me and my team, and I felt that ever since I have formed my inner circle of mentors and hired coaches and strategists to help my business, we've experienced a different kind of growth. And one more thing that I like to say to you is that don't be shy to ask for help. I mean, we feel that I released a video in my Facebook group. What if is a big underlying question in our minds that says, what if I ask for help and the other person says no? What if I produce this blog content and nobody reads it? Let that inner voice go away and replace that. If you cannot let that inner voice go away, then at least replace it with a different kind of what if statements. What if I produce this blog post and everybody will read it and there will be a viral impact, and imagine the magnitude of it? What if I ask for help and everybody I ask for help says yes? What will be the impact? So I think having those positive conversations with your own self and finding those right mentors to help you ask the right questions is important as you're growing your business.
Absolutely incredible. And having interviewed hundreds of experts now, people who are really doing well in their own right, in their own business, one thing that I've come to appreciate is successful people, they're generous with their information. They want you to succeed. And if you find a mentor who is successful in their own right, you are on to a winner, because they are prepared to help you. All I ask you as you're learning is be teachable, coachable, and implement what you're learning from them. Model what they're doing. You will have the exact success as they're having. It's incredible how people share their knowledge to the people that they need. And one of my mentors put it this way: that when a student is ready, a teacher will appear. How ready are you to have your business transformed? How ready are you to go to the next level, or to take your business to the next level? you know have a mentor that will take you right there.
Absolutely, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Incredible. As a business owner, what does your day look like right now, compared to the way it was before? What sort of things happen in your day?
You know what? It was I worked long hours and I wasn't working on myself, and then all of a sudden I realized that I'm like anybody else, and I am still like anybody else. It's just that now I am a little bit more in command of what do I say yes to, right? I was saying yes to everything, and saying no is a big action when you are in a growth mode, and saying no should be more often when you're in a growth mode. So for me, my day typically will start with my personal development. So I take about 1 hour to an hour and a half. I start my day very early, on an average around 5 o'clock in the morning till 6:30. I just work on my planning my day, journaling, reading, meditating, and then my week is divided into three. I don't go by what my day would look like. The day, of course, there is a demand from business, but my week typically will have three areas that I focus on. One is relationships that I need to nurture and build and actively work upon and mentor my team, sometimes clients and sometimes colleagues, right? Then it becomes thought leadership. Our world's changing so fast, so I'm constantly reading about what's changing, testing out new strategies with my team, creatively thinking, and of course the revenue generating activities. So sales is also part of my week. So those are the three areas I focus on.
Incredible. I love how you have separated these. This is actually the first time I've had it that way, but it makes absolute sense. And, if you are a business owner, this is something worth considering and maybe implementing in your own business. I'm learning a great deal from what you've just shared that with us. Just to end our time here together, uh, looking back, if you were to do things differently, or, knowing what you know now, if you were to
Mm.
go back and start your business all over again, what would you do differently?
Whoa, what would I do differently? I would hire my first full-time employee
Right,
faster than I did.
right. Why is that?
I think we sometimes feel that it is an expense as long as we take our because as a small business owner, solopreneur, you will do a lot of different activities. You'll be the administrator of the business, you'll be the bookkeeper, you'll be the CEO, and you'll be a whole lot of other functions that you would play, and roles that you would play in your company. Either I would have outsourced those functions earlier on in my business to free up the time to do the strategic thinking, the relationship nurturing, and more sales generating activities, and stayed focused on those.
Right,
Rather, I was caught up to in the first couple of years in the minutiae of bookkeeping, invoicing, booking my appointments on my own, looking at and even doing our own advertising and marketing. And now we have somebody else in the company who does that. This person's role is internal marketing. So so that we can free up our time and do things that will make most sense. So identifying those roles, either outsourcing them earlier on in your business, or I would say hiring somebody to do it for you, be it a full-time employee. So I think that's where my learning would be. If I had done that, then I would have reached the growth goals as well as impacted a lot more people a lot more earlier in my business.
incredible, absolutely incredible. Well, thank you, Arti, for a great interview, and I'm sure all the business owners in our audience have a much clearer understanding of the necessary skills to succeed when it comes to digital marketing. And if you're listening, I would invite you to go to this website to check out what Arti and her team does, and that is www.measuremarketing.net. And you'll be able to access a lot of great resources there, and also you'll be able to communicate with Arti anytime that you're able to do so. So again, thank you so much, Arti, for sharing great knowledge with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a pleasure, being able to communicate with you and your audience.
Incredible. We would like to wish you great success in what you're doing, what you're working on right now, and wish you all the success in future.
Thank you once again. I appreciate and wish you the same as well.
Incredible. And for you, the word for today is implement. Implement, implement. You never know one concept that you implement for today, where that will take your business to. I've learned over the time that it is those small things that I implement in my business that actually transform the outlook of my business in the long run. And today we've covered so many areas that Ate has shared graciously with us. So I encourage you to implement those And if you've got any questions, send a quick email to Arti or send an email to us to support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Usually I answer those personally, or you will have one of my team, one of the project managers here, respond to you as soon as possible. And again, if you ever need a virtual assistant or to start outsourcing, just like Arte has been talking about, having somebody to help you do some of those mundane things, reach out to us and we'll be able to put you in touch with the people that actually can do that. Or alternatively, a project manager will show you how to go about doing that. And once again, thank you for joining us today. I wish you a great day. The word for today again is implement. Have a great day, everyone. Bye for now.